Chers auditeurs,
Dear listeners,
bonjour.
welcome in Comme d'Archi Podcast Season 3
Saison 3, dans le monde fascinant des architectes.
and in the architectural projects.
Je suis Anne-Charlotte Deponte, passionnée d'architecture et docteur des universités en histoire de l'archi.
I am one of the spokespersons of Anne-Charlotte, who is a PhD in architecture history.
Merci
Thank you
d'être avec moi aujourd'hui.
to be with us today.
Et
And
maintenant,
now,
lundi en français, place au talent.
and Wednesday, let's talk projects. In English, of course.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Dear listeners, good morning. This is Esther on behalf of Anne-Charlotte. It's good to meet you again in Season 3 of Comme d'Archi episode 61 with the Europan 16 project. It is the very interesting project by Marion Lacas and Jacques Ippoliti, architects and urban planners. They tell their story. We are VIS-À-VIS, an office of architecture and urban planning. We are interested in the process of making a project more than in the answer. We think that every situation opens questions with particular ways of thinking. Short stories from the Fragmented City, winning project of the Europan 16 competition for the Porte du Hainaut site, France. For 2 centuries, the same logic of extraction of underground resources has shaped the territory of the mining region on more than 2,000 square kilometers between northern France and Belgium Wallonia. The exploitation of the mines generated a rather systematic development made of shafts, pits, workers' housing, facilities, transport infrastructures, and storage places for mining waste. By losing its main activity, a whole land use plan has lost its logic and coherence. Today, the juxtaposition of wasteland sites, transport infrastructures, housing areas isolated from urban centers, large agricultural areas, industrial and business zones makes the Porte du Hainaut appear as a fragmented territory. It is from this fragmented character that we have chosen to start, by proposing to focus on the qualities specific to each fragment, on the opportunities for transformation on a small scale, and to consider to what extent it will be possible to draw consequences on a large scale from these scattered pieces. We therefore make the hypothesis that it is from the multiplicity of small local dynamics that it is possible to reconsider the attractiveness of the large territory. The project Short Stories from the Fragmented City takes the form of 4 micro-territorial short stories, each of which takes as its starting point the observation of a local phenomenon, specific uses, and situated lifestyles in order to imagine the reconfiguration of a particular situation, the development of a weak centrality in order to try to trace its large-scale implications. This zoomed-out approach proposes to think of the territory through the vitality of these fragments in order to grasp the potentialities of organization on a large scale. Short story number 1, Parallel Road, City of Villers-Arenberg, Networking of Weak Centralities. The mining logic has created a territory that is both dispersed and very close. To each agricultural village were added mining towns. Today, all these cities have a large number of facilities with redundant programs. By creating an opportunistic loop which follows the paved agricultural roads, unused side streets, and the wastelands of the mining infrastructure, the aim is to highlight the background of the cities while revealing the potential for transformation, both in terms of land and public facilities. The loop functions as a school children's path and favors soft modes for local travel. It passes through the Vallers train station and connects the 3 towns to the wider territory of the mining basin. To the northeast, the loop crosses the Learning Diffuse Center and makes the Bosquet School accessible in a soft mode. Oversized, undersized, the Bosquet School case study. A low-intensity capacitor. The Bosquet School moves from a logic of separate buildings on the edge of the plot to a self-contained building within a garden. A covered athletic track joins the existing buildings and aggregates the new ones, which can be added according to the needs. These new buildings have a large contact with the exterior and the landscape. They can therefore be opened to other publics than the school. The new organization of the school makes it an autonomous building in a park which connects the school, the engineer's house, and Valler's creative mind facilities. The Learning Diffuse Center becomes a sequence of the loop that links Arenberg, Valers, and Bellang. By reinforcing local mobility, the loops highlight new opportunities for the cities. The loops are spread over the whole territory and are based on the high density of train stations inherited from the mining era. Short story number 2, Reconciling the Fringes, City of Escodin, a communal agricultural park. The Schneider Workers' Estate is separated from its administrative city by the A21 freeway and the railroads. This distance is due to the suspension of the administrative limits in favor of those of the mining concessions. On the other hand, it is in the direct continuity of the urban sprawl of Lourdes and Reux. The project proposes to reconnect the Schneider Workers' Estate with these neighboring cities through an agricultural park. This hypothesis seeks to recreate continuities without necessarily building, while promoting the maintenance of agriculture in the immediate vicinity of the urban framework. The reconnection of the Schneider housing estate by its agricultural fringe proposes a reappropriation of the derelict areas by creating new collaborations with the living. A cornerstone, Schneider's new district case study. School on the farm. The Paulbert School is moved to become the new cornerstone of the district. It is open to students from the 3 communes to encourage the opening up of the neighborhood. The agricultural fringe is integrated into the city's domains to make them agricultural parks that can be crossed by the public. The production of the park is transformed into a communal vegetable factory which supplies the schools of the communes. The animals are used to maintain the multiple abandoned mine rights-of-way that are managed by the communities while providing a pleasant study environment for students. Urbanism by Fringe proposes to reweave the urban sprawl by the landscape without the need to build in quantity. The programming of the fringes is adapted according to the situation. Here is a popular golf course, there a cross-country course, or a rafting facility. Short story number 3, Equipped Platform, City of Escopon. The opportunity of a metropolitan infrastructure. The 2 tramway lines are major elements of the renewal of the mining infrastructure in Valenciennes. Connecting Denain to the Belgian border, these tramways run from the center of the city to the middle of the fields and serve a very large part of the territory. But this newcomer is not used to its full potential, and the car retains its privileged status. The municipality of Escopon must make room for the tramway. The project takes the form of a ground floor that connects the various existing facilities of the city while opening a garden in the heart of the Italians district. This new ground aggregates new facilities which take advantage of the proximity to the tramway. Open House, Reconnected Church Square Case Study. Shared thick boundaries. Each station becomes the starting point of a city within the city, the Tram City. This fluid, car-free city connects most of the facilities in the Valenciennes area and reveals their programmatic multiplicity. The city is materialized by a centripetal centrifugal floor that gathers amenities around a mobility platform. The ground connects the other existing facilities such as the cycle paths, the Escaut riverbanks, or the regional natural park. In Escopon, a nursing home is being built on the church square in the immediate vicinity of the tramway and the city center. The collective programs of the house, such as the hairdresser, the canteen, or the village hall, are placed directly on the square and are open to the other public to encourage interaction. A large corridor connects these programs to the private rooms. It is closed to the public while opening wide views on the church square and the entrance of the college. Short story number 4, Theme Forest, City of Reims. A fun park. The forest fringe to the north of Reims is largely composed of mining remains, largely reappropriated by fauna, flora, water, but also humans. The project intensifies the playful dimension of the park by integrating scattered magnets visible from one another. Each magnet or microarchitecture is tinged with a specific program, depending on its proximity to the water, to the mountain bike track, to the treetops. The development is punctual to maintain the forest landscape. An opportunistic walk is based on the Trèves, on the little-used secondary roads, and on the existing agricultural paths to link the different mining vestiges, attractions, and to extend the domain of the city centre of Reims into the forest. Recreational magnets. Reims Forest Case Study. Connecting the dots. The state forest of Reims-Saint-Amand-Vallers is the largest wooded area in the whole mining basin and the region. It is bordered by a great number of spaces and equipments with a playful or cultural coloration, such as the Thermes de Saint-Amand, the Cité du Pinson, the mountain bike tracks of the Terril de Sabatier, the Trouée d'Arambert, the Maragorio, or the banks of the river Scarpe. The networking of these spaces makes the forest a place of articulation and meeting between these multiple polarities. The development of the forest and its limits must preserve the natural quality of the site and thus avoid any excess of development. Constellation urbanism, articulating localized polarities visible from each other, allows to maintain the forest and its mysteries while increasing the attractiveness of its attractions by their identification in space. The project consists of activating the forest's playful constellation and setting up dedicated signage to give it a regional scope. The Porte du Hainaut Park becomes the gateway to the constellation from Valenciennes. A local loop connects the different mining magnets. Dear listeners, thank you for tuning in. Let's meet again next week for a new Comme d'Archi in English. And until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Thanks to Julien Rebours, sound engineer, who is collaborating with us today. Don't forget to tune in to our previews on Instagram at Comme d'Archi Podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, don't hesitate to promote it by giving it 5 stars and a little comment on Apple Podcast or on your favorite podcast platform. And above all, subscribe to listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.